Just by way of introduction, my name is Peter Kraus. I'm the program lead for Jasiri, and I'm here to speak to you, amongst others, to just introduce to you about the program, share a bit more about what we're doing at Jasiri, and really thankful that you guys all took the time out of your evenings, probably very busy evenings, to learn more about this really incredible program. So I'm going to share my screen quickly, and then we can kind of jump into it. I see that we have a situation where we've put everyone on mute or disabled everyone's mics. When we get to, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat as we go. And when we get to question and answers, we'll enable everyone's mics so you guys can chat. All right, so let me just share my screen and then we'll start. So the question that I'm sure you guys are all asking yourselves is what is Jasiri at this point? I'm not sure if any of you guys applied for our previous cohort, have come to these information sessions before, but if it's your first time, it's my job to walk you through it. And if we want to understand what Jasiri is, I think we first need to step back and understand what Alan and Jill Gray Philanthropies is. So Jasiri is one of the programs that is run under Alan and Jill Gray Philanthropies. So you can see we have Jasiri, Alan Gray Makers, Alan Gray Orbis Foundation, E-Squared, Jake's Global Fellowship, Wavumbuzi. And there are a number of these initiatives that all fall under the philanthropic work of the late Alan and Jill Gray. So Alan Gray being the asset manager, largest asset manager in Africa. And to give you an idea, back in the 1980s, Mr. Gray had this vision for kind of a more inclusive society that was really empowered through entrepreneurship. And he said this, he started this vision in the 80s, and he said this in 2005 when they were considering or thinking about the philanthropy or how to really have an impact on people's lives through entrepreneurship. In the coming years, there will emerge from diverse communities a new generation of high-impact, responsible entrepreneurs, individuals of passion, integrity, and innovation who will be at the forefront of a continuing economic and social transformation in this region. These individuals will be ambassadors of the power of initiative, determination, and excellence, acting as role models that many more will follow, and many more will follow in their pioneering footsteps. And if you want to understand a bit more about Alan Jill Gray Philanthropy, so Alan Gray's philanthropic work started a long time ago, but in 2015, the philanthropy was established, and it really has these two components to it. Its vision is an empowered, prosperous, and productively engaged African citizenry thriving in ethical societies with dignity and hope. Its mission is to attack poverty by investing in, nurturing, and empowering responsible entrepreneurs and leaders who benefit society by helping accelerate meaningful employment creation while embodying the values and behaviors of ethical leadership. So that's a very long way of effectively saying that what Alan Jill Gray Philanthropies is it's a philanthropic organization that focuses on creating entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurs of the future, and African entrepreneurs in particular. So what is the Jasiri Talent Investor Program? So as I mentioned, the Jasiri Talent Investor Program is one of the programs that we run under the philanthropy. And effectively, at a high-level introduction, it's a 13-month full-time, fully funded program for aspiring entrepreneurs. This program has been operating in East Africa for the past 5 years, and we launched it in South Africa in March of 2025. So we're one cohort in, so to speak. We identify entrepreneurially talented individuals and we invest in their success. So unlike many entrepreneurial type programs where you come with a business idea or you maybe have a business already and then you try to accelerate it or incubate it, what we're really trying to do is to find the individuals who we see as people who have high entrepreneurial potential, entrepreneurial talent, and we invest in them to help them launch a venture. And our objective is to launch what we call market creating innovation or market creating ventures. To give you, I'm not sure if any of you have ever heard of this idea of a market creating innovation, but effectively a market creating innovation is defined as an innovation that transforms complicated and expensive products into simple and affordable ones, making them accessible to a whole new set of people called non-consumers. And a really practical example of how this is, or of what this is Henry Ford's Model T. So back in the day, cars were something that were only affordable to the rich and famous. And Henry Ford came up with a way to make a car available to more people. And what we see is when this car, when the middle class could afford cars, all of a sudden what happened was people had to build new roads, they had to build new infrastructure, and the whole of the US economy and eventually the economy of the world developed because of this innovation. And that's what we're really trying to do in Africa. We're trying to help people launch ventures that are for profit, but have a huge set of impacts that roll out as a result of these ventures. And in the African context, and particularly the South African context, we have a huge body of what we call people who are non-consumers, people who do not have access to products and services that exist just because they're socially and economically excluded. And what we're really wanting to do at Jasiri is help people launch ventures that include the broader South African and African society. So what sets our program apart? Well, for instance, firstly, we have a strong track record. We're operating in 4 countries. We're actually on our 8th cohort, or we have 8 cohorts currently, and we're busy recruiting for another 2. We've worked with about 250 what we call Jasiri fellows or entrepreneurs. We've launched over 90 ventures. It's probably closer to 100. We've created about 1,100 jobs in these markets, and we've raised more than $1 million of capital has been raised into these businesses. And here is just a list of 35 of those ventures that we've launched. So I'm sure you guys are probably most interested into kind of the nuts and bolts of this program and how it's structured. So effectively, our program has 3 phases. A fourth, as if we wanted to do that, as a selection process, which is grueling. But effectively, the program is 13 months. The first month is fully remote, fully online. You dial in and you attend sessions twice a week. And these would be after-hour sessions. And the idea here is for you to get to know people, to kind of kickstart your thinking, to introduce some concepts, and to really demystify this whole thing, right? And really just kind of give you a running start, and then you go into the program as when it becomes intense. After that month, so for context, for the current cohort we're selecting, we're going to do that month in November this year. And then next year, we'll start with the full-time intensive program. So that will be from February to April 2026, is the first 3 months, which is a residential intensive. And what we do in that context is we move all our cohort to Cape Town. We will cover the costs of travel, of food, of housing, etc. And it is a full-time commitment. You live in Cape Town for 3 months, and during this time, you basically meet other people within the group, within the cohort. You find a co-founding relationship, and you come up with a business idea. And then for 9 months after that, we will effectively move into what we call the venture creation phase, where we fund you for 9 months full-time to launch your business. And just so you know how much time, effort, energy, and cash we are putting into this, this is just a kind of a brief explanation of the financial support that we provide. So during the Jasiri Jumpstart process, it's an after-hours thing. We're not providing any specific financial support. During the residential intensive, we are providing not only your food, your accommodation, and your travel, but we're also giving you 9,000 Rand a month to help cover your expenses. We're also, if for some reason you exit the program, we also can pay up to 18,000 Rand for you, so you have a bit of a buffer. In addition to that, we give you about 54,000 Rand to actually do market research or to build a prototype if you're building a physical product. And after those 3 months of the residential intensive, we will actually put equity into your business. So if you are successful when you get through to the venture creation phase, for 9 months, we will pay you 22,500 Rand. That's kind of the rate we pay at this point. That might go up potentially. We still need to assess for our second cohort. And we also give you $10,000, which is about 190,000 Rand as pre-seed capital for your business. You'll see that we do take a shareholding in that venture. And the reason for that is not to be greedy. It's a very small amount at 5%, but it is effectively to fund future iterations of this program. So if one of our ventures that we launch actually grows and does incredible things, that equity will effectively fund us to be able to do this on a continual basis for years to come. So what is the detail of the program overview? So the first session, you can see some photos here from our cohort 1. This is Jasiri Jumpstart. It's fully remote. It's 1 month, 2 engagements a week after hours. And we're really looking at discovering and understanding your why you have chosen this path, why you want to do entrepreneurship, what drives you, understanding what makes you a strong entrepreneur, what are your strengths and what are your blind spots, how to think about finding a problem that's worth solving, and then an introduction to your team members or your fellow cohort. Because one of the things about our program is that we want you to form co-founding teams, because co-founding teams are stronger. A team is stronger than an individual. So as I mentioned, it's an after-hours engagement. And it's a requirement that you do this before moving into residential intensive. The residential intensive is where we currently are at with our current cohort. You can see photos of the current cohort in the bottom right-hand corner. And what we're really trying to do is help people think deeply and intensely. It's a full-time commitment about a business idea, to identify a problem, to figure out who the customers are, and to really develop a product or a solution around this problem. We cover a number of concepts through this process. There are some kind of sessions that are facilitated, but there's also a lot of deep practical work. And that's everything from how to form teams, what are market creating innovations, how to understand an industry, how to develop a product, how to build a business model. And during this phase, as I mentioned, we will pay for your travel. We will pay your monthly stipend of 22,500 Rand. We will pay for your food and lodging, and we will give you research funds. And at the end of this 3-month period, you effectively pitch us to get 9 months more funding. And if you're unsuccessful, depending on the circumstances, if you exit the program, we will also provide you with financial support. And then this is the final stage. Here you see a couple more of our current cohort members. And this is the venture creation phase. And this is when it shifts from being something that we're really helping you with to when it's your venture that you're really building. We continue to provide support, both financial and technical. But this is really where you get to show your entrepreneurial muscle and get this venture off the ground. So you would go back to the city where you want to launch, the city or the province where you want to launch your venture. That might be home if you're from Johannesburg, or Durban, but you might decide to stay in Cape Town. And effectively, you start launching that venture with your co-founder. Each formed team is eligible for that capital. So not only are we paying you directly 22,500 Rand a month, but we're giving you 180,000, 180 to 190, $10,000 effectively in pre-seed capital for your business. And we will also provide kind of access to shared working spaces where possible. And we provide coaching. So you will continually work with our team of experts and coaches and business builders to help you build your venture. We're not just leaving you to do it by yourself. We will provide you with that support. And that will be particularly around things like your business model, your strategy, continue to give you product development support, and then things that are really important, like how do you just keep run a business that keeps good books, etc. And this is really when it comes down to our ideal candidate profile. We are seeking South African entrepreneurs who are ready to dedicate themselves to creating innovative and rapid growing businesses. And if you are determined to create a new business, if you are able to identify gaps within the market in your sectors of interest, if you have a history of achievement, problem solving, value creation, wherever you have focused your attention, you're highly informed and knowledgeable about your professional field or area of expertise, you're a team player, and you're open to meet and build ventures from scratch, you're a South African citizen, and you committed and you're willing to commit 13 months of your life full time, or I suppose it's 12 months out of the 13-month program. You're willing to do this full time. We're not looking for people who come to our program to build a side gig. This is to start your business of the future. And I want to emphasize that it's your business, not ours. We are wanting to help you build your business. And that requires a full-time commitment, and we will support you financially and technically to be able to make that a success. And then I suppose what we're going to move to is we have two of our fellows who are in our current cohort at this stage, Kabelo or KB or Kabzo, and Janita, and they're going to just really share about their experience of the process, what it's been like to leave home, to come to Cape Town, to meet new people, and to try and get a business off the ground. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to ask Kabelo if you could please share your screen and share your thoughts.
Peter, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Can you put your camera
perfect.
on, KB?
Yes, it's on. Can you see me?
No, I can't.
It's on.
Perhaps just try switch it off and then on again, and if it doesn't work, then it's okay.
Okay, can you see me now?
I can't, but why don't you go ahead, maybe?
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Kabelo Motohai, and I joined the Jasiri program. Actually, I never told Peter the story, but when I applied for Jasiri, I'd actually gotten a new job. But one thing that drove me to Jasiri was how I wanted to solve for impact and also solving for the future of South Africa, which is something that really is very, very dear. I hold very dearly to my heart. I believe that entrepreneurship is a force for good, mainly because I went through the undergrad program from the scholarship to the fellowship and now through Jasiri. So it's been something that I've been a part of, and it's been a part of my life for a very, very long time, for about 10 years now. And the process itself was pretty amazing, going to camp, meeting a whole bunch of different people, which are all amazing. And sometimes you question that, am I good enough? But you realize that South Africa has a lot of talent and the future is really, really bright. And through that process, it was really amazing getting selected as being part of the first cohort. Meeting Janita was also very amazing. And it's been such an amazing process. I mean, being flown out to Cape Town for about 3 months, doing market research, learning about new industries as well. So it's really, really, really been amazing. And I think I'll pass it through to Janita.
Janita, over to you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be talking to all of you tonight as a Celamela Fellow. So I'm Janita Ragbir. I'm a former psychologist. So that's what I was doing before applying for Jasiri itself. I was in private practice and I'm from Durban. So when I found out about the residential in Cape Town, it was like, all right, do I actually want to go and be away from my family for 3 months? Because yeah, I'm married and I'm a mom of two, so I had to leave my 2-year-old and my 5-month-old, and actually make the decision to accept the application after I got selected, and yeah, join Jasiri and leave them for 3 months. We're actually 6 weeks into the program, and I must say, I've been so focused on what I'm doing, on building the venture, that I actually didn't miss my family as I expected. I thought it would be a lot worse, a lot more intense. But I'm telling you, when Peter says residential intensive, he's not lying. It is intense, but it's for our good, so that we end up being successful. Honestly, the reason I applied for Jasiri, I saw the advert on, I think, Instagram, and I was like, okay, let me give this a shot, right? And I just applied on a whim, and said, okay, let me try, see if I get in, see what happens. When I went onto the website, it mentioned that there's a couple stages until you actually get selected. So I'm like, okay, if it's meant for me, I will get selected. And I'm telling you guys, the email came, all right, I'm through to the next stage. I need to complete something. And after I completed that, another email came, and I'm like, okay, is this real? And am I actually, going forward and proceeding? And then there was the day of the psychometric test, which was basically a mini exam. And thereafter was selection conference weekend, which was online, both things. But I'm telling you, once I was a part of selection conference weekend, which took the whole weekend online to meet other potential cohort members. I had this drive in me that I want to get in, I want to get selected. This is the final step for me to make it. And yeah, Peter was also over there to, speak to us at the conference. And basically, he's like, all right, by 13th December, you guys are going to get feedback whether you're selected or not. And I was like, okay, I really want this. When the 13th of December came, I was waiting just for that email to come through and say, you selected, you selected. I'm telling you, I was refreshing my screen, I don't know how many times. And then the email came. I think it was like 30 seconds after Peter sent it. And it's first thing I saw was congratulations, you're through. I was like, oh my, wow, this is real. I phoned my husband straight away, because yeah, my husband's my best friend, best support person, everything, to tell him I'm through. It means that, yeah, from now on, I'm going to have to go to Cape Town. It's real. So are we really doing this? Because basically he's taking care of the kids all alone in Durban. When he goes to work, they're out with my parents, but most of the time he's there. And he was like, yes, go for it. And the reason I took the step and went for it is because honestly, this is once in a lifetime. If you want to apply, if you have any doubts about applying, I want you to ask yourself, why are you here in this? What do you want to know? What do you want to get out of being a part of Jasiri? And honestly, when I say once in a lifetime, no one else is going to give you this opportunity of where you're getting a monthly stipend. During the residential intensive, we are learning so much. There's been support from day one. Support, I mean, questions are being answered. There's no question that's too silly. Even before the jumpstart started, Peter was always available with regards to any questions, concerns that we may have, to put our minds at peace, and also to advise regarding what support is there. And I've uh, not been, but I've heard about so many other programs where honestly that type of support is lacking. Those type of stipends are lacking, and the stipend is giving you the freedom to honestly not worry about having to work, just being able to focus on the venture and putting in your 100% on what you want to build. And think about, the financial freedom you'll get when you are successful. Think about what you're going to achieve for yourself, for the South African economy, but mainly it's about your future and what you want to do.
Thank you so much, Janita. Let me unspotlight you. And then I'll start taking some questions. So yeah, I think just from my side, I want to reiterate a few points that came through from KB and Janita, and you guys are welcome to address questions to them as well. We have them here because and I said to them, you must be honest, right? We want them to share about their experiences, and they're in the middle of it, so they're the best place to answer many of your non-logistic questions. But just two things I want to highlight is that last thing that Janita said. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I cannot believe that an opportunity like this exists for people in South Africa and in Africa, where we effectively pay you to start a business. And statistically, 90% of successful entrepreneurs are those that come from money. And the reason is because money is they just have access to things that they don't have. And what we're really trying to do through the Jasiri program is take away that barrier to entry and provide people who have all the capability, all the talent, all the drive, and take away those kind of barriers, but then also to provide them with the training that's necessary and required to really help them go from great to, or from good to great. And I just want to reiterate, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's been such a privilege for me to be able to work through this process as well. I'm going to unmute all the mics, so people can ask questions, and I'll also answer the questions in the chat first. Could I request that if you do have a question that you raise your hand on the platform, just because it will just help us keep things a bit orderly. All right, so I see Sibusiso, your hands are raised, number one. Let me just go through the chat questions. All right, so the first one that we had is, can we get the slides? Yes, please email Amo. She's responded to you. She's given you her details, and she can send through the slides. Is there a limit to your team size? Yes, there is. So the reason why we have teams is statistically entrepreneurs are more likely to succeed if they have a team, right? So if you have a solo entrepreneur, your likelihood for success is much lower. But then you start getting negative returns when your team gets too big. So once you get to about more than 3, you start becoming less likely to succeed. So effectively, we have a limit of teams to 2 or 3. So it's you and one other co-founder, or you and 2 other co-founders. And we provide a lot of support around helping you profile who that person is, helping you understand what your edges are, what makes you a fantastic entrepreneur, what your market edges are, etc. And what your skill sets are. Part of our process is we do psychometric testing for everyone, and that enables us to build a report that helps you understand yourself better. It doesn't tell you who you are, but it helps you understand your strengths and your blind spots as well. So we really put a lot of effort into this component of team formation. So the limit to the team size is 2 or 3. Is this opportunity open to founders who already have an existing startup? So we don't want you coming into the program with a business idea. Obviously, people come in with business ideas, but we're not. I should rather say we don't want you coming into the program with an existing business. We're not an accelerator. We're not an incubator. We are a talent investor, right? It's a very unique concept. So we're looking for people to come in pre-idea. People always come in with ideas. They always have an area where they want to focus, but we're not looking to incubate your business. There are other organizations that can do that. There are some people in our cohort who are founders of businesses. And what was the requirement for them is that they step away from those businesses. So, we have a number of people who have founded other businesses. Some are operational, some are doing well. But they actually made the decision to leave those businesses at an operational level and to found a new business. So if you come into our program, we're not going to take your existing business. We are going to ask you to start a new one. I see Kiribone says, I always apply, but I always get rejected. What should I do to improve my application? That's a great question. And I think the thing that we're really looking at is the application process for this program is intense, guys. We are investing so much time and energy and capital into you guys that we really need to do our due diligence. To give you an idea, for our first cohort, we had 4,500 people start applications. 4,500, we selected 18. Okay, so that 1 in 250 people got selected. So I don't want that to be daunting to you, but I wanted to show you the efforts you need to put into your application. Okay, this is not something that you're going to apply for in 5 minutes. This is going to be a 3.5, 4 month process. We're only going to give you offers to the program in October. So you're going to be in this for a while, and it is an amazing application process. We can ask Janita and KB how much they just learned through that application process. So what can you do to improve your likelihood? Take it seriously, number one. Number two, what we're really wanting to do is to see that you have entrepreneurial talent, that you are someone who thinks entrepreneurially from the get-go. We don't expect you to have a degree. We have people in our cohort who have a matric only, but they showed through their work and their practice and what they've done that they are actually incredibly entrepreneurial people, and that's really what they demonstrated, that they are the type of people who have that entrepreneurial fire in their belly to build something amazing. And that's what you need to demonstrate in the selection, through the selection process. You can't be passive, you have to be proactive, and you have to show us that you have what it takes. And good luck. And even if you feel like you always get rejected, you only need to be accepted once. All right. In East Africa, we have people who apply multiple times over and only on their third or fourth attempt get selected. All right. And we're looking to run this program for years to come as well. All right. Ponachatso says, it's my second time applying, so hopefully I learned from my mistake and this time get accepted. Good luck, Ponachatso. Okay, so if I see Tsesepo says that they were part of the Alan Gray Startup Academy. We don't look at any past things, whether you're an Alan Gray Fellow. We want Alan Gray Fellows to join our program. But whether you're an Alan Gray Fellow or you're not an Alan Gray Fellow, we're accepting the best. If you've been involved in other accelerators and startups, hopefully that gives you an edge. But it's not a guarantee. We're accepting the best. That's our approach to everything. I see there's another question in the Q&A. It was from Ponachatso. How many entrepreneurs is Jasiri looking for this cohort? So we're looking at between 30 and 50. 50 would be the upper limit. 30 would be kind of the lower limit, I imagine. But we were looking for 30 for our first cohort, and we chose 18. We made offers to about 24, but a number of people dropped out for various reasons. So the reality is that we're looking for quality over quantity. We're not looking to fulfill a quota of 50. But we're targeting 50. What kind of businesses are we looking for? Any type of business, whatever you want to create. The only industries that we say you cannot launch a business in is sin industries. So that would be alcohol, tobacco, sex work, gambling, things like that. Those are the only types of businesses that we exclude, but you can start anything. You could start a STEM business, you could start a consumer-driven business. The focus we want is market creating innovations, and that's an incredibly broad category. All right, people have their hands up and have been waiting. Kadlejo, you're number 1 on my hand list. Please feel free to share.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. I joined the session quite late, but I'm hoping this question I'm about to ask, you won't be repeating yourself. But I'm curious to find out, once in program, um, what level of support does one get, right? So from this perspective, to say, let's say I team up with somebody or with two other people, and we are creating, company, whatever. And however, we lack certain skill sets. It could be maybe that we want to develop, a mobile application, but maybe you'd find that one of us has domain expertise in a certain area. I've got, commercial type of experience, and the other person has whatever else, right? And we are lacking, the technical expertise to build out, the MVP and so forth. Does the program then provide us with the necessary skills, skills to basically, build out whatever it is, just to help us out in our journey?
That's an excellent question, Katlego. So yes and no. Okay, so we're not going to teach you to code if you want to create a coding business. You can spend your time doing that if that's what you want to do. But what we do try do is we try to connect you with coaches and subject matter experts in your industry, and within and within your, if you need someone who has technical oversight, then we would find a coach who can coach you through the process of building tech. We will also try to connect you with the right service providers, because there are a lot of sharks out there who, and say this person is a vetted, verified person. And, we can even look at negotiating a discount for them to get discounted services from those people. One thing that we do sometimes do, particularly in the tech space, because it sounds like that was the root of your question, we sometimes encourage people to, when they move into the venture creation phase, right? Everything between Jasiri Jumps On Residential Intensive, there is no business. It's just you guys working together, trying to come up with an idea. If you successfully get into registration to venture creation phase, that's when you register a business. That's when you create an entity. And part of that is, we might say to you, listen, you have in the next 3 months, we want you to find another co-founder or a CTO. And we're giving you capital to kind of think through how that works. Given the amount of capital, you're not going to be able to hire a developer per se, but you could potentially, or you could, offer someone equity. It's your business at that point, right? If you were to start this business, company X, tomorrow yourself, you would have to figure out how to cover that gap, and we will support you in figuring out how to cover that gap. Next person I have on my list is Sibulele.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning, Peter. First question, but some of my questions are already answered, but I would just like to know, when are your applications closing for this cohort? That's question number 1.
Sure, applications for this cohort close on July 27th.
July 27th. Okay.
Yeah.
No, the reason I'm saying that.
Yeah, so I just want to point something out to that. While the applications close on July 27th, we do, the application process, we start taking new applicants on July 27th, but the application process will run into probably September, mid-September is our final step in the process. 13th of September, that weekend is the final step in the application process. But we're not taking any new applicants from July 27th. You had another question.
Okay. So you are saying you are not taking ideas that are already existing, even if they are impact creating ventures.
Sorry, I just want to correct myself. It's July 25th. Apologies for that. I made a mistake. Thank you, Shira, for pointing that out. July 25th. Look, people can come into the program with an idea. What we don't want is people coming in who have a business already and want to accelerate it. Janita KB, all the people came into this process because they're entrepreneurially minded. They had an idea, they had an industry that they wanted to focus on. So if you have an idea, that's fantastic. But you might also need to figure out that idea needs to change. That's part of the process, right? So an idea is great, but we're not taking an existing business. All right, Sibu.
Thank you, Peter, and good afternoon to everyone. I just wanted to find out, because I'm currently selected to be part of 2 innovation challenges, and they said that I might be entering into their accelerator program. So will I be allowed to be part of Jasiri whilst I'm part of another accelerator program?
Well, I would say that there are 2 potential issues there. The first is that Jasiri is a full-time commitment. So you can't be working on another business during the Jasiri program. You would, if you have an existing business, you would have to step away from it operationally and become a kind of silent shareholder, which is what a number of our people did. But the answer is no, you couldn't do 2 programs at once. And a lot of people hear that and they think, oh, I can definitely do 2 things at once. I can definitely run a business and do Jasiri on the side. I guarantee you, and Janita and KB can confirm, you're going to be working so hard on this Jasiri thing, you will not have capacity. One of the people who dropped out thought that they could do some part-time work and do Jasiri part-time, even though we told them over and over again you can't, and they eventually dropped out because they just realized there's no way that they can. When they just understood the intensity of what we're expecting from you, it's not a part-time commitment. TN, I'm sorry, I just see your name there.
Sorry, it's Tanzi. Thanks for all of the information. It sounds really great. My question was more so around the selection of founders. Maybe I might have missed the part where you discussed that in terms of how we select founders. Is it a process that's left up to us? That's question 1. And then the second one is more so when we get to venture creation and the seed capital or the initial capital. Are there specifications in terms of where that is placed? Say, for instance, you already have experience with building and code and tech, so you don't necessarily need to apportion that to software dev, and you can apportion it elsewhere. Are there specifications in terms of where those amounts should sit, or is it at that point it's your business and you sort of figure it out as we go along?
Yeah. So one of the amazing things about this program is that we're not looking to control your business. We're not looking to control you. We are trusting that the people who get selected for this program are the right caliber of people to make these decisions. We're here to guide. We're here to assist. We're here to provide you with technical expertise, with coaching, with helping you understand some difficult concepts. But it's your business, right? So when it comes down to choosing a co-founder, that's your choice and that other person's choice. Some people say that the residential intensive is a bit like Entrepreneurial Love Island, because you're meeting people, you're forming a team, you're creating teams, and then a week later or 2 weeks later you realize this team's not working, or you just have a different vision. You're creating a new team, and we allow that all the way up until the midway through the 3rd month, that you can shift around teams. Ultimately, you're committing to build a business with someone. You need to make the decision, not us. And the same thing applies to seed capital. We will give you that pre-seed capital. We will give you that capital, and we will advise you, and we'll maybe say, you can't use it for this, in very rare cases. But ultimately, you're the entrepreneur. You're the founder. You have to make the decisions. So we're not going to. You need to give us a compelling reason on why, like with any investor, what you need the capital for, how you're going to utilize it. That is our take, but it's ultimately your decision, not ours.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. Finko?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm good. What if the idea expanded from an existing business, like we grow grapes, grape farming, then from the grape farm, and then a new idea of manufacturing a grape wine then comes into existence, but it has not been implemented.
Okay, yeah. So in that example, we would say you can't do that because you're producing alcohol, right? A grape wine. So that would be an example of like a sin industry. So we won't support that. In theory, I don't have a problem with it. If you have an existing business and you want to launch a new business, that's just leveraging your expertise and your industry knowledge. The question is that business a market creating innovation? Does it fall within our kind of remit of no sin industries? And this would also have to be a separate business. In the sense that it wouldn't be a subsidiary, it couldn't be a subsidiary of another company. This would be a brand new venture. But if you're just effectively using your expertise to build a new venture, then I have no problem with it, right? And you could use that existing business as a partner from the get-go, but it wouldn't be a subsidiary or a holding company of that other business, etc. Cece, nice to see you. I know Cece from back in the day.
Hey. Peter, I just wanted to check. Hi, everyone. I wanted to ask, how long does the support last? So let's say you get through all of the stages, they get so far as even getting the investment. Do you still have access to the coaching that you had maybe in the second phase and first phase, or kind of you get the money and it's like, now go and do your thing?
No, 100% not. The support lasts for the full 12 months. All right, I suppose 13 if we include Jasiri Jumpstart. Yeah, so we're supporting you throughout that. During that venture creation phase, when we're paying you your stipend and we've given you or paying you the larger stipend and we're giving you the seed capital, we will you will be expected to monthly meet with 5 coaches as a team. So this would be an accounting and bookkeeping coach to make sure you're keeping your books in order. This would be a business modeling coach, and this would be the same person who works with you on business modeling in the residential intensive. Product development coach, and then a strategy coach or coaches. And then as the 5th coach would be an industry specific or kind of a needs-based coach. So if you're a tech business and you need a tech coach, we will continue to support you that over those 9 months. And we also have a full-time venture builder who starts on Monday, very excited. And her role, coupled with mine, is to effectively be that sounding board for you for the full duration of the program, and really will pick up during venture creation phase. And we'll probably, by the time this cohort's running, we'll probably have a second venture builder as well, because they will need to be helping our previous cohort plus our current cohort. And the plan is that we will move into 2 cohorts per year. So cohort 2 is going to start in February with the residential intensive. Cohort 3 will likely start in August next year. And in that case, we're going to be supporting multiple fellows at different points within the process. I do want to say that we have a partnership with E². So should you fit their investment mandate, you can also go into one of their programs. But that investment mandate is quite regulated, if that makes sense. So not everyone will be able to. And then we also have we also have relationships with, for instance, other capital providers, and we all need to be, we need to build the brand of Jasiri in South Africa to what it is in East Africa, whereas people know what a Jasiri fellow is, and it's an aspirational thing. And people know that if a business came through Jasiri, it's worthwhile going into the next accelerator, etc.
And just to, sorry, I don't know if that was so clear. So after the 13 months, are you still able to tap into the support, or does it end? Like, you're not looking for maybe capital, but the coaching element of it, are you still able to use it?
At this stage, there's no formal support.
Okay.
To quote a book, or once a king or queen in Narnia, always a king or queen in Narnia. Once a Jasiri fellow, always a Jasiri fellow. We have a very established alumni network in East Africa, and we're planning to do the same here. So we will provide support, but it won't be structured.
Thank you.
Cool. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name. In Chagasang, Is that correct? Please correct me if I get your names wrong, guys.
Nkagisan, that's correct, Peter.
Okay, thank you.
What I'm trying to find out, you actually mentioned that there were other guys who left the program. So I just wanted to know is there a room for those who would like to fill up the space for those who left the program? And number two, I want to understand in terms of the stipends that's offered, what is it likely? Is it the current ones that you're offering? Is it going to differ based on the pre-cohort that came through? And what is it likely to be if somebody had to, you know what, I'm walking away from this. This is the kind of amount I'm going to join. So I just need to understand in terms of what's the scale or what are we looking into?
Yeah.
And number three, okay.
Okay,
maybe
cool.
number three, I'll come back to it later.
Yeah, number three, that's fine. So in
Like,
terms of
okay, number three, number three, I just want to know if fintech is it something that you guys would look into?
Yeah.
Or is not the industry that you totally don't want to touch it?
No.
Thank you.
Yeah, so great questions. Firstly, our current cohort is underway. We're not going to bring anyone else into it. So our current cohort, no, we're not putting anyone else in, even though people dropped out. Once we've made our decision, that's the cohort. We do have applications for our second cohort, so that's what this call is really about. So the second cohort is if you want to join the program, apply for the second cohort. If you don't get in, apply for the third. If you don't get in, apply for the fourth, right? So that's what we're really looking at. The monthly stipends, the numbers I gave you were the monthly stipends that we're providing to our current cohort. There is a question, in our team, is it enough? Are we attracting the right level of talent by offering that much? We don't want the monthly stipends to be so high that you don't have to work, right? Because we want you to ultimately build your venture. We're trying to de-risk entrepreneurship effectively, or maybe remove barriers. So those monthly stipends aren't there so that you can sit on your bum and not do anything. But we do need to assess whether we need to increase the monthly stipends. So the numbers I shared today of 9,000 Rand during the residential intensive, that's one component. The other side is 22,000 Rand during venture creation, 22,500 Rand. We might look at increasing those, but that decision hasn't been made. And ultimately we need to figure that out. There are a lot of questions, guys, and we have 5 minutes left. So I'm going to move on to Sipho. Could we just limit it to one question each?
Thank you so much. One question that I had was that with each and every organization, there are certain principles that need to be followed. So in this regard, is it possible that actually I want to find out to say what happens when an individual drops out? Do you actually penalize them in any form? Because this is money invested on the organization, and some of the funders would want to see results with the money that they've invested for the program. So what happens if an individual decides to drop out during the process of the whole program? Do you penalize them in any form?
Yeah, so we don't have any penalizations, any clawbacks like that. We typically, depending on the reason for dropping out, we would also potentially offer an exit package. So for instance, if someone has to drop out because they have a family emergency or something happens, we would try to provide them with financial support to cover them for 18,000 Rand. That's discretionary. So you may have a situation where we have to remove someone from the program, let's say for sexual harassment. Hopefully that never has to happen, right? In that case, we wouldn't offer them an exit package because they've actually broken our code of conduct, but we're not going to claw back the money. Million Benefits. I recognize that name because you applied for cohort 1. You have a question?
Good evening, everyone, Peter, and the guys that won. And I'd like to say congratulations to you all, guys. My question is straightforward. I just want to understand one thing. What are the challenges that the Jasiri experienced during the first cohort? And I also want to hear from the entrepreneurs that made it last year. What challenges that you faced, and how did you tackle those challenges?
Given the time frame, I'm not going to ask Kabelo or Janita to share. The challenges that I think a lot of people struggle with in the program is, firstly, it's intense. So the intensity of it, I think it's a lot of work. I think the other challenge that we've seen is it's hard to come up with find a compelling problem. Entrepreneurs typically like to come up with solutions, and we really encourage, or the way our program is designed is to come up with a problem, come up with a market, and then figure out a solution. Because otherwise you figure out a solution that's not addressing any problem. So that's been one of the core challenges. And then also just around team formation. We've had a number of breakups, one remake-up. We haven't had a new team form yet, but this is also a challenge, right? Naledi. Naledi, on mute. All right, I'm going to move on to Finko again. Actually, no, Naledi, can you hear me?
Oh, no, there we go. Sorry. Sorry. Yes, I can hear you. I was just trying to unmute. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Peter. Yeah, okay. So my question is not really it's a little I'm back, I'm getting out of course a little bit, but I also wanted to ask that, are there like any opportunities like to become like facilitators and stuff like that? And if they are, where does one go to apply for such opportunities outside of the projects and stuff like that? So yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, so at this stage, we don't necessarily have, we're not really looking for any facilitators. Amor has put her email address in the chat. You're welcome to email her. And if there's scope or interest, then we can pick it up with you. MP, your question.
Hello, is it my time?
Yeah, I can hear you, MP.
Thanks. My question is, you say you don't want existing businesses. So I want to know if my company has been dormant, if that will be considered an existing business. And then secondly, I want to know if...
just ask your second question.
I want to know if I did apply and didn't succeed. Can I be given a chance to edit the previous application? Because I've seen it has option to delete, but does not have option to edit, maybe to work on the previous one.
No, unfortunately, it's a limitation of the system. You can't edit it, and once we've rejected your application, it's rejected, and then we encourage you to reapply for the next one. In terms of existing businesses, if you have one that's dormant or a company that's dormant and it's not operational, there's no problem. You're welcome to apply. Finko and Katlefo, I see you both have additional questions, but I just want to get to the chat just before we close. And apologies, we're running a few minutes over, but I want to do a hard stop at 7. But I just want to go through the chat questions because a lot of people have asked there. So first one. All right. So I see someone has done the entrepreneur intention survey. So the reason why there is a delay in getting that back, we are aware of it. We are busy onboarding assessors. Assessors effectively go through the applications and help us make decisions as to where just because of the scale of applications. So we are looking for that assessment to go live on the 19th of this month. So you should receive an email shortly to say to say your application's been assessed and you'll get an outcome. So apologies if you haven't received any notification there if you've gotten through the first phase. All right. You cannot apply if you're working full time. You're obviously allowed to apply while you're working time, but once we make the offer to you, you effectively have to quit your job. That's why we make the offer to you in October in case you have a 3-month notice period, so you can start in February. All right, and that was Tim Bakazi's question. You can still apply if you have a business but you're not involved at an operational level. You can apply. You would effectively just be a silent shareholder. I understand now and again you might have to take a call or something like that. We have that situation, but you cannot be operationally involved. The living arrangements, you do not share rooms. Currently, we're actually doing it at the GSB, which is the Graduate School of Business in Cape Town. And there's a 3-star hotel attached and you live there. You have your own room, your own bathroom, your own space. We may change the venue for cohort 2. We haven't made that call yet, but we're not expecting you guys to slum it. You're not going to be living in like dormitories or anything like that. You will have your own space, your own room, your own bathroom. Oh, I see. Million said, yeah, he was made it to the selection conference. So that's the final stage in our selection process. It's a 2-day conference. You learn a huge amount. He's just making a comment. Naledi, thank you for saying it's an amazing program. PSGWA says, what is your funding limit amount? So I've given the funding amounts during the residential intensive. We 9,000 Rand stipend. During the bench creation, 22,500 Rand a month stipend. That's directly money in your pocket as the entrepreneur. And then $10,000 in seed capital if you make it through to that phase. So it's about 180,000, 190,000 Rand. The residential component is 3 months. You cannot part-time study during this program. I see Fulmani asks the question. This is full-time. You will not have time to study. You can put your studies on pause, but you will not have time to study. The market creating innovations, I suggest you just ask for the deck, or you can also look it up. There's a book called The Prosperity Paradox that explains market creating innovations in detail and their impact. All right, guys. Looking through this, I think we're already 5 minutes over. I have to go bath and put down children. So please excuse me.
Peter, I was hoping I could squeeze in one question.
Okay, Finko, you twist my arm. Go for your question.
Around just IP equity. I don't know if I might have missed it, but does the IP is that retained by the teams, or do you guys take equity in the businesses that are created?
Yeah, so IP belongs 100% to yourself. Our investment is 5% equity. It's not to make money for ourselves or generate massive returns. It's that if one of these business or these assets become valuable, effectively we can use the proceeds of that asset to fund future iterations of the program. So we're not taking equity for any other reason than to kind of make this thing self-sustaining, because we can't rely on philanthropic money forever, right? So that's the idea behind it. I remember someone asked a question about fintech. Is that allowed? Fintech is 100% allowed. Fantastic market creating innovation. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. We'll be running another one of these info sessions if you missed your question. Please feel free to join. We'll run one in June as well. I think the 8th of June, or the 10th of June, actually, 10th of June, Tuesday, 10th of June. We'll run another one. I see someone ask a question about age limit. We don't have an age limit. Anyone can apply. Obviously, if someone is 18 or 19, they would have to really prove that they have a high degree of maturity for us to select them. But we've had people from their mid-40s, from 19 to their mid-40s in these programs. So there is no age limit. Cool. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I know it's a big chunk of time out of your evening. Thank you for making the time. I'm really excited to see your faces and your names as we move forward through the selection process. I really encourage you to apply. Applications are hard, so make sure that you put the right amount of energy and time into it. Other than that, thank you everyone. Really appreciate it. I'm going to end the event now.